you will bring about the destruction of the German war machine, the elimination of Nazi tyranny over the oppressed peoples of Europe, and security for ourselves in a free world. Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well trained, well equipped, and battle hardened. We will accept nothing less than full victory. Good luck, and let us all beseech the blessing of Almighty God upon this great and noble undertaking.
Hello, I'm Dr. George Cressman, and I'm the staff historian here at the Camp Landing Museum. Today I'm going to share with you the story of the 1st Infantry Division. So, of the 9 infantry divisions that trained at Camp Landing during World War II, the 1st Infantry Division was the only regular Army division that trained here. All the rest of the divisions that trained here originally started as National Guard or were reserve troops that came into Camp Landing. The 1st Infantry Division was constituted on 24 May 1917. The 1st Division forces departed the U.S. for France and combat in World War I. The 1st won the first U.S. battle in World War I at a town north of Paris called Cantigny. The division fought a number of battles in World War I, with 5 division soldiers being awarded the Medal of Honor. The Big Red One had been training at Fort Benning as the school troops at the infantry school, then moved to Fort Hamilton, New York, and then to Fort Devens in Massachusetts. The division had participated in the 1940 Louisiana maneuvers and the October and November 1941 Carolina maneuvers. The 1st then was ordered to move from Fort Devens to Camp Landing in February of 1942. While at Camp Landing, the division received all new equipment. As the 1st Infantry Division was here at Camp Landing, they were visited by George Marshall. Shortly after Marshall's visit, the 1st Infantry Division was ordered to Fort Benning, and then in a very short time received orders to expedite a move to Indiantown Gap Military Reservation in Pennsylvania, where it prepared for overseas movement. The division trained in England for a short period of time and then departed England on the 22nd of October 1942 to become a spearhead unit in the division's 1st amphibious assault in North Africa. Operation Torch was the invasion of North Africa. The division landed in Oran on 8 November 1942. The division's first combat in North Africa was against Vichy French troops, and the combat was not too difficult. The Vichy French troops surrendered or at least stopped fighting, in a relatively short time period. But then the combat for the 1st Infantry Division became much more difficult. Elements of the 1st fought in a series of battles in Algeria, and then fought at the Battle of Kasserine Pass, where U.S. forces were initially pushed back. It was a significant defeat for the U.S. forces. The division then fought a bitter battle at El Ghoutar and then at Matur. The 1st Division was in combat in North Africa from the 21st of January 1943 to the 9th of May in 1943. And interestingly, the Tunisian campaign ended with the surrender of almost 250,000 Axis soldiers. Training began immediately for the next amphibious invasion for the division, and that was the invasion of Sicily. Operation Husky, the invasion of Sicily, began on the 9th of July, 1943, and the 1st Division was part of the U.S. 7th Army in Sicily under the command of Major General George Patton. The 1st fought against very heavy Axis armor resistance in the Battle of Gela, and then moved through the center of Sicily in very mountainous terrain and fought at the Battle of Troina, experiencing perhaps the heaviest of combat in Sicily. After the battle in Sicily concluded, the 1st Infantry Division moved to England and began training for the invasion of France. The 1st ID assaulted Omaha Beach on the 6th of June, 1944. And of the 5 Allied invasion beaches in Normandy, Omaha was the worst of the worst. So the troops landing on Omaha Beach suffered perhaps the heaviest casualties of all the invasion troops. But the good news is the Allies got off the beach and began moving inland. Hedgerow fighting followed as the Allies ground through Normandy. The division then followed the breakout through St. Lo and attacked Margany on the 27th of July, 1944. After the strong drive across France in the summer of 1944, the 1st Division reached the German border town at Aachen in September of 1944. The battle for Aachen was brutal, taking place from the 2nd to the 21st of October. The 1st laid siege to the city, and after intense street fighting, the division finally captured the city in late October. This campaign indicated a series of challenges for the Allies, challenges they would continue to face for the rest of the war. Between the 1st and the 30th Divisions, the battle to take Aachen cost over 5,000 casualties, with 2,000 men killed. This demonstrated the challenge the Allies would face in street fighting, and they'd have to face that challenge for the rest of the war. The division was then one of many U.S. units that fought in the Hurtgen Forest, known to the GIs as the Hurtgen. After fighting in the Hurtgen Forest, the 1st Infantry Division was significantly understrength, so it went to a rest area on the 7th of December 1944. And there they began to rest and to refit to incorporate replacements. But the Battle of the Bulge ended that rest period. In the Ardennes, the Battle of the Bulge, the 1st fought continuously from the 17th of December to the 28th of January 1945. On the 15th of January, the division attacked and closed off the Bulge. On the 3rd of February 1945, they reached the Rhine River, and the division crossed into the Remagen bridgehead. On Easter Sunday, the 1st of April 1945, the division road marched to Siegen, Germany, and crossed the Weser River on the 8th of April, and then began fighting in the Harz Mountains. In May, the 1st moved to liberate Czechoslovakia, and was there when the war in Europe ended in early May. During its combat in the European and Mediterranean theaters, the men of the 1st Infantry Division were awarded 16 Medals of Honor, 8 of those posthumously. They were awarded 131 Distinguished Service Crosses, 4,258 Silver Stars, and 12,568 Bronze Stars. Fighting from the 1st U.S. combat in the Mediterranean theater and then in the European theater, the 1st Division suffered 21,023 casualties, effectively replacing the division's strength 1.5 times.